go drop their baggage, check in at the Fairmount Hotel, and walk through the tunnel to go to their meeting in the biggest building in Canada. At the time, it was the biggest building in Canada for a couple weeks, probably. Yes. Oh yeah, that's 1962. That was the time that Toronto was growing up. Montreal was growing up quite a lot also. So then driving, thank you Young for driving slowly in front of Mr. Ping, in front of the $5 million ring also. Yeah, we've ended up paying $5 million, but it frames the Mount Royal and the McGill University, probably the most prestigious university in Canada, ranked 28 in the world according to last night information. Yeah. Queen Elizabeth Hotel, which is the biggest in Montreal with 950 rooms. Then you have the Catholic Cathedral, Mary Queen of the World. The 1880s finished in 1893. So that's the siege of the Archbishop here in Montreal, with the tallest building behind it, and then the Cheese Grater Hotel, the Marriott Hotel that we all call the Cheese Grater. Yes. Oh yeah, call it the Cheese Grater Hotel for a good reason. Yes. Every window costed $5,000 in the 60s when they built it. They're double windows because of the climate, and underneath every window you have 3 smaller windows, and the size of the window is the size of the room itself. So, yeah. My wife has a Marriott Visa card, and we rent a room there every year to get rid of the kids, to get out of house actually. And then I was impressed last time I stayed there, actually, the size of the windows, and it's a very nice hotel located in from this beautiful Place du Canada, Place of Canada, which is a former cemetery. People have no idea, but on both sides of the road here, Dorchester Square and Canada Place, is a former Saint Antoine cemetery. 50,000 people were buried here, and when they moved the cemetery at the epidemic of cholera in 1854, they left more than 10,000 human bodies here. So there are plenty of dead people on both sides. Yeah, they're still there. Yeah. After the Sheraton, Young, if you can make a right, just like the Empire truck that did on Drummond Street. So not this one, but the second one.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are still plenty of human bodies buried there downtown. Yes. Saint Antoine, former Saint Antoine Cemetery that became a beautiful square in the heart of downtown Montreal. Be careful, there's going to be a median. There's no car park, so it's good for us. And we're on the way to the hill, the Mount Royal, which is at the end of the street there. I'm going to do a little detour to drive on it. Slowly but surely, the Mount Royal, is getting more and more beautiful every day. It's still early in the season, but some maple trees are already red there. So it's sort of a playground for Montrealers, this Mount Royal. So we're gonna get to see that. That's gonna be our first stop at the Mount Royal. We're gonna do a couple of stops on this tour this morning. I'm not gonna keep you on the bus the entire time and be annoying with my microphone, but yeah, we'll stop a few times. But not a lot of walking. I heard not everybody's able to walk long distance, so we're not going to do a lot of walking, but still, we're going to stop in places this morning. So, yeah, that's narrow, eh? So we're seeing back St. Catherine Street here. That's the never sleeping street. And people living in the area, they can't sleep neither because of the construction. But yeah, it's a never-ending process, the construction, but it's gonna be nice. It's gonna be nice because they're doing construction there to have a wide sidewalk instead of a wide street. In the area of your hotel, we passed through the Square Phillips, the Anglican Cathedral, and everything. They rebuilt the entire street there. It's beautiful. The street is narrow, so no parking there. Just one lane. Hey, Mount Stephen, a house. It used to be the residence of the president of Bank of Montreal. Oh yeah, and it's a hotel today. Yeah, a fancy, nice and fancy hotel. And Sherbrooke left, please, Young. All right, thank you. What was my point? Forgot actually, but yeah. Anyways, Mount Stephen. This house actually, Mr. Stephen, president of Bank of Montreal in the 1880s. Actually, he had this house paid by Bank of Montreal. He worked in the headquarters of Bank of Montreal in Old Montreal. A place that I would recommend you to visit. And at the end of the tour, we're gonna end up in Old Montreal. For those who would like to discover Old Montreal, walk around and everything. And there's the headquarters of BMO, Bank of Montreal. Montreal. It's still there in old Montreal. They get more tourists than clients there, actually, and it's beautiful. It's very recommendable to go in there. And for those who like to visit the most beautiful church in Canada, the Notre Dame Basilica, it's going to be right at the same square as there. On one side you have the church, and on the other side you have the bank. To see the Temple of the Money, the church, they charge $16. To see the temple, this Temple of Religion, they charge, and the Temple of Money, they don't charge. So, yeah, which is weird, but yeah. So these are things that I recommend, and when we're gonna drive nearby, I'm gonna tell you. The reddish home that we just passed there, and we're gonna see a few on the way to the Mount Royal. They're built with stone from Scotland. Yes. Very first skyscraper built in Canada is in old Montreal. It's red like that, built with the same stones from Scotland. That was used as ballast on the ships. So, yeah. And that's the Ritz-Carlton Hotel to your left. Yeah, that's the very first Ritz-Carlton Hotel built in the world. In the world, yeah, 1912. They built this building here as the most fancy hotel in Montreal at the time. It's pretty much still the most fancy hotel in Montreal, followed by the Delta Hotel. No, probably not, but no. Today, that would be like boutique hotels in old Montreal. You know, some little hotels with 30 rooms, you know, with personalized service and everything. But still, Ritz-Carlton of Montreal still had the reputation to be probably the best for an historic building, actually an old building, because they built the Four Seasons recently there on the other side, and then they claim to be the only 5-star Forbes is the Four Seasons. But this here is nice, actually, the Ritz-Carlton with the Maison Boulud, the restaurant. Boulud is a French chef that has restaurant in New York City, for example. It's an awesome restaurant, and then you can buy an apartment. See the glass wall there? You can buy an apartment there. Like, that's a Four Seasons there to the left, the black building. So it's not the same style. Buying an apartment in the Ritz-Carlton, you can imagine that it's not free. It's not a few $1 million. And we're arriving here at the Fine Art Museum. This church is now the concert hall of the Fine Art Museum. Look at the man with the hat there. That's Leonard Cohen.
Oh, yes.
And then you have the new pavilion, the modern pavilion of the Fine Arts Museum, and the older pavilion of the Fine Arts Museum there. So we're heading to the Mount Royal, Jan. So Côte des Neiges to the right. Are you familiar with this? Awesome, great. Another church right there. Montreal is a city where you could visit a different church every day of a year. Yes. And we're driving now in the Golden Square Mile, actually. Golden Square Mile was the richest district in Canada in the late 1800s. At one point, people living in a square mile in this area own 70% of the Canadian money, of the Canadian wealth in this area. So, and it's the English neighborhood, the English-speaking neighborhood of Montreal. Arriving, look, you're going to see some beautiful homes built with stones from Scotland there to your right. We have Scottish people here.
Yeah.
You have a lot of buildings of this color in Scotland, or you all sand your stone? Yeah.
I've been living in Scotland. I'm just Scottish heritage.
Yeah. Like I'm French. My ancestor arrived in 1737.
1812.
1812.
Yes.
I'm older than you.
No, yeah.
My ancestor arrived earlier than yours. Yeah, my ancestor arrived from Brittany in France in 1737. The majority of the Montrealers speak French, but Montreal is a very cosmopolitan city. You're going to drive to Quebec City, where it's white French and Catholic mostly, especially in the touristic area of Quebec City. English is more spoken, but in Montreal, we speak a good Franglish here. What happened here? Yeah, what happened here? Yeah, while we're driving to the Mount Royal between the cones, I'm going to tell you the deeper history of Montreal. 1642, a ship with about 50 Frenchmen right here in Montreal. Maisonneuve, the leader on the ship, became the founder of Montreal. There was a lady named Jeanne Mance on the ship. She was the only nurse. We consider her the co-founder of Montreal, so there will be two founders of Montreal. You know where this stone comes from now, actually. And then the English. attack Quebec City, the capital of New France,
No.
6 times.
No.
6 times. Until the last battle in September 1759. So then they won the last battle, and they arrived in Montreal the year after 1760. Montreal surrendered without fighting, so never got bombed, so everybody's welcome, sit down with us, have a beer and everything. So there you go. English right here. Since 1760, we're part of the British colonies. And then the English, when they arrived here, they spoke no French. The French, they spoke no English. The French were Catholic. The English were Protestant. So they couldn't really understand each other, and they didn't want to live together, right? The French and the English. So then the English, they went to live on the west side of Montreal, where we are right now, and the French, they went to live on the other side, on the east side. And 2.5 centuries later, today, it's still the case that west side of Montreal is more English and east side is more French. So then, in Europe, honestly, well, we're going to be honest this morning here on this bus. Honestly, in Europe, in England, you still don't like the French. In France, they still don't like the English. They tell me all the time. But in between, you have water. You have water in between England and France. We don't have water in between east of Montreal and west of Montreal. We have a hill. We have a hill right there. That's it. That's all. So, no, but honestly, we had to learn to live together, actually. We had to learn to live together, and we made it. We made it, actually, after 2.5 centuries, or even more than 2.5 centuries. A normal Montrealer, like I said, speaks some Franglish. Good Franglish goes from French to English, English and French all the time, with different accents. You know, we all have our backgrounds. I grew up totally in French. Actually, I had to learn it. My dad speaks no English at all, or almost not. Actually, my 15-year-old boy is fully bilingual. So we all have our own background, actually. But yeah, and if it happens that you go to a place and the coffee shop or something like that, and the staff has a hard time to answer in English, it's a French immigrant. We had an invasion in the last 15 years of young French people that came to live here. And I'm going to tell you what French people told me. They came for a better life, actually. Yeah, honestly. I mean, we would not imagine that here in Canada, that French people would come here to have a better life. But a lot of French people told me that. But most of us, let's say the Quebecers, the Montrealers that were born in here, we can have a conversation in English without any problem where we speak. And 20% of the 4 million Montrealers are fluent in 3 languages. Yes, which is very unusual in North America. I am fluent in 3 languages. I speak an annoying Spanish also, and then my colleagues speak German, whatever. But it's very common to speak 3 languages here in Montreal. There you go. So it's cosmopolitan, actually. 4 million, that's Greater Montreal. 4.1 million, island of Montreal, because you're on an island here. It's 2 million people, and then 2 million in the suburb, more or less, for a good 4.1 million people. And in Montreal, we have the richest, the most expensive neighborhood in Canada. We would think that would be in Toronto or in Vancouver, because it's more expensive to live there. But no, we have Westmount on top of the hill, right there, actually, where you can buy a house for $30 million, or you could buy this white one there for around $20 million with the inflation. Yeah, so there you go. It's a nice neighborhood where we're not welcome at all. No, they have anti-autobus sign on most of the road, and not only that, but it's very steep. It's very steep. I'm kind of scared to go there with my my manual car, my hand-shift car, actually, because it's like this, actually, and then you have stop sign, and then that's a military building. That's all we have left, actually. Everything else is sent to Ukraine. And that cannon is pointing the building. That's no good. That's no good. The one behind the bus, if you look back. No. Canadian Army is not exactly a very strong army. We rely on our southern neighbor for that. Yes. So we're gonna enter the Mount Royal Park. You can see that the maple trees are getting red first, actually, and then the others. Mount Royal is going to be beautiful in a couple of weeks, especially at the Beavers Lake. We have this little lake on top. I'll show you all of this. We're gonna cross the entire Mount Royal to the right here. And last Sunday it was the bicycle race here. On the it was that guy, the Peter, the one who won the Paris, but not Paris, the Tour of France, actually. He's from Slovakia or something like that. Oh yeah, he won actually the race, like he won all the time. They go 17 times. They cross the Mount Royal 17 times. And when you're gonna see the other side, how steep it is, you're gonna say that they're brave. They're athletes actually. That's the largest cemetery in Canada, and this is where they moved the cemetery at the epidemic of cholera. I was downtown with the 10,000 human bodies left there. So yeah, 1 million people buried there. Still have a lot of room. There's the husband of Celine Dion, Renee, that is buried there. We have people that died on the Titanic ship also that have their grave there. So yeah, local celebrities there. Here, the parking lots here are for the Beavers Lake. So you're gonna see the Beaver Lake a little further there to your right soon. There's no beaver at the Beaver Lake, no, no. But there used to be some beavers there. It's partly man-made. In the economic crisis, 1936, right there, actually, 1936, they gave to 146 men a shovel each, and then they shoveled the lake there, and they found a beaver house, wood hidden by beavers. So that's why they call it the Beavers Lake. And we used to ice skate on the lake. It was so romantic. See, it's all frozen, it's all white, there's some romantic music, little snow falling down, minus 30, awesome. And then you see the couples skating there. Until they announced about 6 years, it was a couple of years before the pandemic, so probably maybe 2017, that they won't open it anymore, the Beavers Lake, for skating. They built a refrigerated ice skating rink next to it because of the global warming. I said minus 32, 33. Yeah, last winter in February we had 15 degrees here Celsius. 15 degrees in Montreal in February?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? People were wearing t-shirts, and my son weren't short to go to school. And that day I told him no, and he said yes, and he left. The horses of the mountain police, not the mounted police. They have a blue city uniform instead of the red, like the typical Canadian one, because they're patrol from Montreal, but patrolling the Mount Royal, the trails of the Mount Royal. We go straight. So yeah, so sometimes you walk on a Mount Royal on the trails and then, oh, there's a horse and a police officer on it. And you're surprised that the police officer say, hello, good morning, how are you? Give you touristic information, take a selfie with you, and there you go, life is great. They're sympathetic, very sympathetic. They don't have any stress. No, they don't have stress. I mean, there's no criminals here. There's people on their day off, tourists, a couple of raccoons and groundhogs. No, that's true. It must be
dead people.
And dead people, that they're not dangerous. Those guys, yes. So, yeah. There's a fence in case they want to get out of there, but still. No, but yeah, it's not the same stress to work on a horse on a mountain or downtown with the traffic and with the cars and everything. So I would be a policeman. I would like to be here on the Mount Royal for sure. Not sure how far we can see this morning. Here in between the trees, we can see the north side of Montreal with the Laurentian Mountains. It's not even visible. Oh, there's a layer of smog in the air there coming from the fires. Yes, it comes all the way from Western Canada. all the way from Western Canada, northern Western Canada. We had some big fires in Alberta this summer, and the smoke came all the way from here to here. So we get to look out here. And last year it was our fault. The fires, the wood fires, are in Quebec, north of Quebec, and they had smoke all the way to Atlanta, Georgia. Okay, yes.
We were
New York
killing
City.
the Americans.
Yeah, and New York City was like yellow. The air, the sky was yellow, and sometimes Montreal was totally clear, and New York City was like yellow. Yeah, it seems like the smoke was going around Montreal. We put some big fans actually. Olympic Stadium of Montreal.